Inevitably, there's some.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Constable Danny McKinnon, Winnipeg Police Public Information Officer. Thank you for coming today, and we have a collective news release that we will be releasing on regarding how the City of Winnipeg is tackling the problem of arsons. And this is happening through a coordinated action response. Present to discuss this action is Mayor Scott Gillingham, as well from the Winnipeg Police Service, Deputy Chief of Investigations, Cam McKidd, Inspector of the Major Crimes Division, Jen McKinnon, and from the Winnipeg Fire Paramedic Service, Chief Christian Schmidt, as well as Fire Investigator Coordinator, Jason Federow. And before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Innu, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. To begin with opening comments, I welcome Scott Gillingham, our mayor.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Constable McKinnon, and thank you also for the treaty land acknowledgement. And thank you all for being here. And I want to also thank Deputy Chief McKidd and Chief Christian Schmidt, Inspector McKinnon, and Fire Investigator Jason Federow for being here and for their leadership, your leadership in this ongoing problem in the City of Winnipeg. And I want to thank your teams who are working on this matter as well. We're here today to talk about an issue that is deeply concerning to Winnipeggers, the issue of arson. In recent months, we've seen many serious fires, especially in the downtown. Fires that have caused damage, displacement, and fear. Each one takes a toll, not just on property, but on people, on businesses, and on confidence in public safety. I think it's important Winnipeggers know how we as a city are responding to these situations, which is why I'm pleased the fire and police have joined together today to talk about the work that they're doing together. With support from other city departments like Bylaws Department, Water and Waste, Property and Development, work that they're doing to prevent arson, reduce risk, and hold offenders accountable. That work really begins on the prevention side. And through the Property Committee and the Arson Prevention Group, our teams are taking proactive action. This year, over 9,600 inspections have been conducted to enforce safety standards. Hundreds of vacant buildings have been secured under stricter standards that were approved by council within the past few years. And hundreds of tons of debris and illegal dumping have been cleared before it can become fuel for fire, thanks to the increased sweeps of target neighborhoods. And through joint investigations, police and fire investigators, helped by new resources like Scooby, Winnipeg's first ever arson dog, have conducted many successful arson investigations leading to arrests. The work being done by fire, police, and bylaw teams mirrors the collaboration that existed many years ago under the old arson task force. The same principles of coordination, shared information, and a unified approach are happening right now. But this isn't something that government can do alone. Everyone has a role to play in preventing arson. And that's one of the other reasons that we're here today, is to ask the public for their help. If you see suspicious activity, vacant buildings that aren't secure, or illegal dumping, please report it. Those calls make a difference. They help prevent fires before they start, and they keep our communities safe. And if you have information, knowledge, including photos and videos about suspicious fires, then please share it with us so that those involved can be arrested and prosecuted. Preventing arson is part of our broader effort to make Winnipeg safer. Whether it's through stronger bail laws to keep repeat offenders off our streets, investment in community safety programs, or partnership with neighborhood organizations, the goal is the same: to protect people and build stronger, safer communities across Winnipeg. I'm going to hand things over in a moment to our other speakers who can share some more detail on how the departments are working together in collaboration. But I want the public to know that this is an issue that we continue to focus on at City Hall as well. We've made progress, but I know that there's more to do. Reducing the number of vacant and derelict buildings is a key part of that work. It's the focus of the City of Winnipeg under the Bloomberg Harvard Leadership Initiative. And over the past year, our city staff have been developing new strategies and partnerships with community groups like the William White Neighborhood Association to turn those properties back into safe, productive spaces. We'll be sharing more about that work in the weeks ahead, because every vacant building that we bring back to life or safely remove makes our city stronger, safer, and more resilient. Thank you. I'll now turn the podium over to Deputy Chief Cam McKidd.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good morning to everyone. The Winnipeg Police Service we're very pleased to be here today alongside Mayor Gillingham and two familiar faces from WFPS, Chief Christian Schmidt and the Chief Officer of Fire Investigations, Jason Federal. And of course, also present, as was mentioned, is Inspector Jennifer McKinnon. Inspector McKinnon is the commander of our Major Crimes Division, which investigates, among other things, arsons. So we're really happy to have everyone here today. By their very nature, arsons are high-profile incidents which attract a great deal of attention and concern from the public and from the media, and that concern is justified. These are very dangerous incidents that pose a genuine risk to public safety, so we take them extremely seriously. As our PIO, Danny, can attest, we receive a lot of media inquiries with respect to fires and ongoing arson investigations. And with these inquiries often comes the question, what specifically is the Winnipeg Police Service doing on the prevention side? And that's an excellent question. And I'd like to thank Mayor Gillingham here today for providing us the opportunity here this morning to answer that question with some level of detail. Arson is not just a police issue, it's not just a fire issue, it's a community issue. And I think the collaborative layered response that has evolved over the years is reflective of that. We're very fortunate to have Inspector McKinnon and Jason Federal here today to speak specifically to the coordinated approach that we've taken and continue to build upon. I think you'll find it very informative. And as always, we do appreciate the media being here today to ask questions and to help to inform the public on this important issue. I briefly wanted to thank as well Rob McKenzie, who's the president of Winnipeg Crime Stoppers. Upon hearing of this presser today, Winnipeg Crime Stoppers committed to enhanced rewards for the month of November with respect to any tip that leads to an arrest involving an arson. So we appreciate the ongoing support of Rob McKenzie and his team at Winnipeg Crime Stoppers in that regard. And lastly, before I turn things over, just a cautionary note. We're here today to speak to the layered approach and to the collaborative relationships that we've built to address the arson issue. Please understand that we're extremely limited in what we can say about ongoing investigations, about specific fires, or about matters that are before the court. So I just wanted to mention that here before we sort of get started. So with that, thank you very much for being here, and I'll turn things over to Chief Schmidt for his remarks.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Christian Schmidt, Fire and Paramedic Chief with the Winnipeg Fire Paramedic Service. Thank you for being here with us this morning. Winnipeg continues to experience high rates of fire, significantly higher than many comparable Canadian and North American cities of our size. That is our reality, and it demands urgency, and it demands that we act together. Updated fire data is now available on the city's open data portal. As journalists, you and your teams will analyze those numbers and share them with Winnipeggers. As you do, I ask you to remember, these are not just statistics. For our firefighters and paramedics, these are increasingly complex, high-risk incidents, often in unstable vacant structures with hazardous materials. Fires cause physical injuries and exhaustion, and they add to the heavy psychological load our responders carry each and every day. For families, a fire is traumatic. There can be injuries, or worse, people lose homes, pets, belongings, and their sense of overall safety. Neighbors feel less secure, and in some cases, they're displaced by the smoke, fire, or water damage. For business owners, a fire can mean the loss of livelihoods and an entire life's work. Some can rebuild, for others, the cost is simply too high. For the city, higher fire volumes mean increased overtime and equipment costs for the department and city. They also mean the loss of buildings that could be renovated into safe, affordable homes, homes that are preciously needed here in our city. Every vacant property that burns is a lost opportunity for future apartment or supportive housing. Rebuilding from ashes is often slower and costlier. For our community, fires can reduce safety. Smoke and other toxins aggravate health conditions. Streets and sidewalks may be closed during firefighting and demolition efforts, limiting access, and insurance costs can rise. And when crews are tied up at a fire, they're often not available for other emergencies, such as motor vehicle collisions and other medical events. This can lead to longer response times and, in some cases, less than ideal outcomes. This isn't just about the numbers. It's about lives, livelihoods, and a shared sense of security as a community. Higher fire activity means more families in crisis, more property destroyed, more strain on our emergency responders, and greater risk across entire neighborhoods. And fires don't affect everyone equally. Here in Winnipeg, neighborhoods with higher rates of suspicious fires or arson are often also coping with poverty, aging housing stock, addictions, and crime. Addressing an issue this broad requires a team effort, and it requires the support of all three levels of government. The Winnipeg Fire Paramedic Service is here to keep Winnipeggers safe, to protect homes, businesses, and quality of life. When an emergency happens, our frontline responders, firefighters, and paramedics respond quickly to help people in need. After a fire, our investigators step in to determine what happened and how we can prevent it from happening again. We also have a community risk reduction branch. This team includes public education specialists, fire prevention inspectors, and other WFPS members who focus on prevention of fires, injuries, and illness. They meet people where they're at schools, community centers, and neighborhood events across our city to share practical tips and prevention strategies. They also work with community partners to identify and address the root causes that lead to more emergency calls so we can reduce risk before harm occurs. Together, response, investigation, and prevention form a complete approach. We help when the worst happens, we learn from each incident, and we act to stop the next one. In recent years, we've strengthened our collaboration with other city departments, including the Winnipeg Police Service, community organizations, and businesses to align prevention, enforcement, and investigations. Years ago, as we heard earlier, during another period of elevated fires, the arson strike force proved effective. That collaboration continues today, only now it's more efficient. With modern systems, tools, and technology, we can coordinate in real time without being in the same room. You'll hear more about that later this morning. Today, to reaffirm our commitment to making communities safer and to reducing arson and its impact on our city, we are asking everyone in Winnipeg to join with us. Protect our responders, our neighbors, and the homes we urgently need. These are actions each of us can take. Following fire prevention and property security guidelines at home to protect our families. reporting suspicious activity to the Winnipeg Police Service, calling 911 for emergencies. For non-emergencies, contact the non-emergency line. Utilize 311 to report the unsecured vacant buildings in your area, unsafe conditions, or illegal dumping that is observed. And finally, for residents living in the Point Douglas and William White neighborhoods, please utilize the power lines that are available to you to report incidents that are occurring in your community so that information can be relayed on to the appropriate agency. Thank you for your assistance.
Good morning. Thank you, Mayor Gillingham, Deputy Chief McKidd, Chief Schmidt, and everyone else for being here today. Our community has faced a series of fires over the last year that has caused understandable fear, frustration, and concern. We want every resident and business owner to know we hear you, we share your concerns, and we are taking each and every one of these incidents very seriously. The safety of our community is always our top priority. From January to September this year, arsons to property has decreased 5.9% from 2024 and is 17.8% below the 5-year average. During the same period, the Winnipeg Police Service Major Crimes Arson investigators conducted 177 arson-related investigations and have arrested and charged 23 individuals. I just want to be clear, charged and arrested 23 individuals. One individual can be responsible for a series of these fires or multiple occurrences. Today isn't about statistics, though. It's about community safety. It's about families going to bed at night worrying if the home next door is going to go up in flames. It's about our business community and the impacts these fires have on their livelihoods and the neighborhoods they serve. It's about what are we doing about it. That's why Fire Investigator Coordinator Chief Jason Federer and I are here today. There's a reason why we haven't always been transparent and forthcoming about these investigations. They're complex and often lengthy, and most often don't have immediate results to report and leave you with more questions than answers. Over the last 5 years, the Winnipeg Police Service and the Winnipeg Fire Paramedic Service is joined together with city departments such as Water and Waste Management and representatives of the Problem Property Committee. If I can quote Deputy Chief McKidd, to take a collaborative, layered approach to this very serious issue. This table of subject matter experts work together with our crime analysts, utilizing data to focus our response on areas that will have the most impact. This could mean educators from the Fire Prevention Branch reaching out to high-risk neighborhoods and youth. Water and waste strategically increasing garbage pickups identified during peak times or neighborhoods most impacted by fires. Community engagement and proactive policing through our divisional community support units. Identifying problem properties and implementing increased measures to effectively board up and secure vacant properties. But most significantly is the ongoing collaboration and strong partnership that has been formed between our services' respective fire and arson investigators who have received dedicated technical training in this field. This collaboration starts right when the 911 call comes in and continues through an extensive scene examination, witness interviews, canvas for surveillance video, submissions to the forensic lab, arrests, and ultimately the prosecution by our partners at Manitoba Justice. What makes these investigations challenging is our forensic evidence is being destroyed by the very nature of these fires, and the safety of emergency responders and those processing the scene is often at risk. Secondly, identifying the motivation behind these arsons can range from simple crime of opportunity to sophisticated planning and execution. Meaning I've watched videos of individuals walking down a lane out of nowhere, suddenly light some garbage or debris in a yard on fire and simply walk away. Vacant houses are often broken into by the vulnerable members of our community seeking warmth and shelter, or by others who use these locations for the purpose of illicit drug use and sales. Arsons can also be attributed to the individuals in crisis suffering from mental health, but it can also play a can also play a role in incidents of domestic violence and sometimes self-harm. Arsons can be used as a weapon to intimidate, retaliate, and extort others, and quite often it can cover up other fraudulent gain. Then fire investigators have to identify the cause and origin of these fires. The police service arson investigators have to consider all these possibilities and either rule them out or prove the intent behind these fires. All of which is very challenging and takes time, but can lead to successful results when we work together. We can't thank Winnipeg Crime Stoppers enough for their continued support and dedication to public safety. But I want to recognize the most important partnership of all. That's you, our community. We continue to ask for your help. It's quite simple. See something, say something. If you notice suspicious activity in your neighborhood, please report it. Whether you choose to do so anonymously through Crime Stoppers or directly to the police, your information can make all the difference in keeping our community safe. I'm now going to invite Fire Investigator Coordinator, Chief Officer Jason Federer to the podium, and then we will field some questions when he's done.
Thank you, Inspector McKinnon. As mentioned, I am Chief Jason Federer, Fire Investigations Coordinator with the Winnipeg Fire Paramedic Service. I'm happy to be here to explain how the Winnipeg Fire Paramedic Services Fire Investigations Branch operates, how we train, and how we work with our partners to keep Winnipeggers safe. Our mission is clear: to determine what happened, prevent it from happening again, and support accountability when crimes are involved. The Fire Investigations Branch is a specialized unit within the WFPS with 4 full-time fire investigators, an accelerant detection canine and handler, and 13 alternate fire investigators. All investigators are certified to National Fire Protection Association Fire Investigator Standard. This ensures our methods follow nationally recognized practice and produce findings that are court ready. Our training is rigorous and local. Practical examinations and accredited certifications are delivered at the WFPS Training Academy. The final testing by evaluators from Manitoba Emergency Services College. To mirror real conditions, we designed and built a 4-room, 420 square foot training facility that recreates the structural fire scenes we encounter in Winnipeg. This lets investigators study authentic fires and patterns so we can determine origin and cause with confidence. And collaboration is central to our approach. The Winnipeg Police Service Major Crimes Unit trains with us at the Fire Investigation Training Site to deepen their understanding to fire behavior and investigative methodology. Together, we have attended International Association of Arson Investigators International Training Conference to stay current with the best practices. Beyond training, we meet regularly to review all fires. We coordinate the next steps and ensure nothing is missed. We use secure information sharing systems so our teams can collaborate very quickly as if we were in the same office. While the former Arson Strike Force no longer exists as a standalone unit, that level of joint effort continues today in a more integrated and efficient form. We also work closely with Manitoba Prosecution Service. Early consultation and clear evidence standards help us prepare strong court-ready files and support successful prosecutions when criminal activity is involved. When a fire occurs, our investigators conduct thorough on-scene examinations that can last from about 5 hours to as long as 3 to 5 days, depending on the complexity and the safety. We process scenes methodically and collect evidence for accredited forensic laboratories. Our toolkit includes electronic vapor detectors that can indicate the possible presence of ignitable liquids, and Scooby, our accelerant detection canine, who can also detect trace amounts of those similar substances. If the canine team is off duty, our electronic instruments allow our investigators to continue processing without delay. Lastly, I want to offer a brief explanation on why fire investigations can take a considerable time. It's important that you know that the on-scene phase of the investigation is only the beginning. We complete detailed documentation, analyze laboratory results, review statements, and correlate all findings before reaching a conclusion about origin and cause. For that reason, we may not announce a cause immediately. Accuracy and evidentiary integrity comes first for public safety, for learning, and for prevention, and for potential court proceedings. I'm proud of our fire investigations team and the strong partnerships that support this work. Together, we are effective, efficient, and focused on keeping our city safe. Thank you very much.
So Jason and I are prepared to take questions, keeping in mind that we're limited in detail that we can provide on ongoing and active investigations. Also, please let us know if you do have a question for our esteemed mayor, deputy chief, and chief. We can certainly vacate the podium and give them room to speak. So,
I certainly have a question about an ongoing investigation. And we at CJOB and Global News have had many calls from concerned restaurateurs in this city, wanting to know what specifically is going on. And my question for you folks specifically is, where are you at the investigation level? Are these restaurant fires linked? And is this an extortion attempt? I realize this is under investigation, but you've got a lot of people nervous every morning, wondering whether or not they're going to get the call in the middle of the night from the Winnipeg Fire or the police service saying that their restaurant is on fire. Where are you folks in trying to bring this to a conclusion and making arrests?
thank you. Sorry, Jason, I'm just going to push you out of the way here. Thank you, Richard. Nothing but being directly to the point, and I appreciate that because I can understand that this is a concern for the business community. But I have to remind people that even though there's a series of fires that may have been reported in a short period of time, doesn't necessarily mean that they're all linked and have this same motivation. We are actively and aggressively investigating these fires and are optimistic that we will have some answers for you in the near future. However, I cannot comment on that.
Have you ruled out that they're linked?
You know, I guess it's a difficult answer because I don't know what fires you're talking about specifically.
Bougie Fire, the fires in the Exchange District, the restaurants specifically. There have been convenience stores as well. If you want, I can list them.
No,
1,
but-
2, 3, 4, 5.
Right, but at this point, they're investigations, and I'm going to say, no, they're not all linked at this point in time. Like I was trying to explain in my speaking notes earlier, different fires have different motivations. They can be extortion, intimidation, and they can be fraud. And we have to consider all of that evidence, and we have to prove or disprove that motivation before we can move fire.
Are
So
some of these fires extortion attempts?
I can't comment at this time.
Have any of the 23 arrests made so far been involved in extortion attempts?
That I don't know.
What can you tell Winnipeggers about where you're at in these investigations? And speak directly to restaurateurs and the Restaurant Association here, because there are all sorts of concerns about this.
Well, I would suggest that any fire that is a restaurant that is being extorted, there's a larger picture that's happening in there in regards to the extortion piece, if they are being extorted.
Explain.
I can't explain. If I start explaining, Richard, I'm going to start getting into the details of the investigation. And revealing the details of this investigation will actually suffer the prosecution moving forward.
Okay, one question I do have, is this then larger than Winnipeg? Because we're seeing these types of acts in other cities.
Well, this is across Canada. This isn't unique to Winnipeg. Am I going to comment, do we have a specific tie to a specific territory across our provinces and nation? No, I'm not going to
Is
make
this
that comment.
investigation being worked with other agencies across the country?
No.
Just a general, generally speaking, with some of these convenience store fires and restaurant fires I'm seeing, are any of these businesses being targeted in some way? Can you just generally answer that question? If some of them
You know,
are targeted?
I can appreciate you're very frustrated with me right now because you want me to say, these are targeted, these aren't. What happens is with arson investigations, especially if there's a commonality, whether it's a restaurant or business, we want, it's human nature to want to lump them all together. What I can say to you is it's not necessarily the case that we have one individual or group of individuals are responsible for all of them. There's different motivations. There's different methodology on how these actual fires are set that tell us that there are differences between who's doing them. I know you want me to just flat out say, I cannot and I will not, because I have to protect the investigation to be able to get to a successful arrest and prosecution. And I know that the community wants answers. I want to give you the answers. I know people are fearful. I know business owners are stressed about this. What I can say is that this relationship between us and the fire paramedic service, fire investigators, has never been stronger. And we are aggressively working together to come to a resolution. And I'm confident that we'll be giving you some answers down the road.
I appreciate that, but in terms of methodology for these restaurant fires in particular, I don't know if you speak to it, any connections you're seeing there in terms of how these fires are being set with the restaurants?
I have seen differences in methodology. That's why I cannot comment that they're all linked into a single entity that is responsible for them.
And then, did you mention 23 arson arrests so far?
This
In
year.
the first 3 quarters?
Yeah, up to September, January to September.
Okay, and one of the focuses seem to be see something, say something.
Yes.
How often do calls in from the public result in arson arrests?
I think the calls from the public, the biggest key is timeliness of it. I would ask, you see an arson in the media, and thanks to the media, they're very timely and quick in reporting it. Check your cameras, check your doorbell cameras. Look to see if you've captured anything and let us know, because that can be critical evidence. And you may think you've seen something, you saw a car, you saw a person, an individual in the area, and you may not think it's significant, but timely reporting of that information could actually be very critical in an investigation.
And then you mentioned it as well, 23 arrests, but it could be an individual who started multiple fires. I've
Yes.
seen 177 arson investigations in the first 3 quarters. How many are ongoing at this point?
Well, I don't have the clearance rate in regards to how many the 23 are responsible for, but we do have a number of significant investigations that are ongoing. These files never close. If we haven't made an arrest, I know we have a fire that's been over a year old that we are still actively working on. There's always avenues and opportunities in technology that Jason has spoken to, forensic results that take time to get back in from the labs, all play into the status of these investigations. So some of them can be solved quickly and some of them can take a significant amount of time.
I think, Inspector, back in the strike force days, we found that there was only 1 or 2 or 3 people who were responsible for a lot of those fires, and solved in a way that may be different now. What I'm hearing here in your presentation is that you've got a lot of arsonists out there. Is that true?
We have a lot of people who won't set fires, yes. Yes, it's become an alternative weapon, right?
So, and gleaning from the statistics, I'm seeing that there are more incendiary fires last year than accidental fires. Am I right on that?
Let the fire handle that one.
Yeah, for stats, I don't have those stats in front of me, but we are, with the investigation branch, we are averaging right now over an investigation every day. That's our numbers that our branch is doing, and the numbers are either staying the same or going higher.
So you're here to say that you have the resources to deal with that, but this would be as bad, if not worse, than we dealt with 25 years ago. I don't know if you were around then, but make those
Yes,
comparisons.
I did work in the arson strike force in those days back in 2008, 2009, 2010 area. And I don't have the stats we had there, but I do know that our investigation branch right now, they are investigating total more investigations than we did back in 2010, 2015. And our investigators are putting in so much work. They're working beyond their shifts. They're staying late. They're sacrificing family engagements, and they are not leaving until that job is done. And they're even coming in, we're holding the scene overnight and continuing the investigation, working throughout the whole next day. So they're definitely putting in 110%.
So, and I know the chief wants to answer that other question, and I have a question for the mayor after that.
Okay.
Sorry, and then I'll.
I still have some questions here.
Yeah, I'll-
actually.
Yeah.
Can we
sorry.
maybe let the chief
Sure, Chief, come on.
answer? Yeah.
Sorry, folks, I'll stand back.
Thank you. Richard, thank you for the question regarding specifically for the statistics. And I know I spoke earlier about this being more than just about the stats and the numbers. But with that information going live on the open data portal today, I do fully appreciate that it will take all of you some time to, shall we say, crunch the numbers. So I'm going to just take a few moments here to just provide you with a brief high-level summary of what you're going to find there, okay? And some of it is good news and does speak to the efforts, joint efforts that are occurring across the city with departments, and specifically some of our outdoor fires, and I'll get to that in a moment. But the numbers also do reflect that we still have work to do together as a community. And so in terms of what you're going to find when you start looking at that data, overall, you'll see that fires have decreased by 4.4%. This is largely due to the significant decrease we saw in Q1 of the year. Okay, so that you'll see that bear out in the numbers. Non-structure fires decreased by approximately 7%. Structure fires, so this is actual structures, increased by approximately 1%. Vacant property fires decreased by approximately 8.3%. Vacant building structure fires increased by 6.9%. So this is largely, we had 4 fires overnight here in the city of Winnipeg. Those have previously been reported in a news release prior to this event today. So you can check those releases for the details on the types of structures. They were not all vacant buildings. Some of them involved property and vacant properties. It is important to note that vacant property fires are a mix of both structure and non-structure fires. So this could include outbuildings on the property, garages that aren't properly secured. A number of the fires overnight involved garages that were left unsecure and are frankly ripe for arsonists to come in and set a fire. And finally, outdoor trash container fires, dumpsters or bins, decreased by nearly 23%. Now that is a significant decrease, and it's largely due to the work of Problem Property Committee and the folks over at Water and Waste and our waste collection. Now people may say, oh, well, that's just a trash container. It is very important that we see the decrease in these trash container fires, because very often that will be the origin of the fire, and then it will then spread to an adjacent structure, a garage, house, apartment block, some type of structure in the area. So to see a 23% increase in these types of fires is very promising. But as I indicated earlier, the numbers show that we still have work to do. But we have to do this work together. And, Winnipeg, I had earlier comments as well regarding all 3 levels of government needing to come to the table to assist. Our city has some unique challenges. Okay, I talked about some of our communities, most impoverished communities in Winnipeg. These fire numbers are largely coming from these communities. and we need to focus our efforts in those communities. Mayor Gillingham spoke earlier about the Harvard-Bloomberg initiative. You're going to see very soon a report coming forward through the regular reporting progress about the work that has been ongoing with the Harvard-Bloomberg initiative. This has involved folks from City of Winnipeg, community members, and folks from nonprofit and provincial government, all working together to try to bring more affordable housing and deal with the vacant building issue that we see, in particular in the William White neighborhood. We have 5 neighborhoods in the City of Winnipeg that really need assistance with housing, that have high levels of vacant buildings. And so we're going to be focusing on all of those areas. So, and I'll just close with, these aren't just reports that are going to provide numbers out of the Harvard initiative. It's actually going to outline an action plan and things that we're going to be undertaking. So I thank the mayor for sponsoring that initiative, and I was part of the initiative, and is very powerful, coming together for a week at Harvard with public servants and community group members from across cities from across the world. There's a lot of power in that. So we take those learnings, collaboration, and we bring it here to Winnipeg to help us solve our problems here. So thank you.
And there was a lot of questions with that, most 10 more minutes.
So can I throw it in? I haven't, it's actually not for you, sorry, I don't know everyone that well. I think it was you, yes. When you were talking about when you were stressing that it was the number of individuals arrested, not the number of fires. Can you give an example, like, such as in one arrest, this person was believed responsible for how many fires, like the highest number? Or?
I don't have a highest number,
Okay.
but what I can say, like I can put it into context. I spoke of an individual going down the back lane who took an opportunity to light fire in a yard or a garbage bin or debris in the back lane. That person can go down and do multiple locations as they go through the lane. Those are all going to be separate charges in regards to the different locations and occurrences. An individual might set a number of fires. That's the methodology that we identify and can track to the unique signature of that individual. And we will link those fires. When we have an individual or suspect that we're looking at, we look at them for totality. We look at their methodology, their motivation behind what they're doing, and we pull through our investigations to see if they could potentially be possible suspects further and continue the investigation. I'd also like to take this time and opportunity to speak to our business community and the residents of Winnipeg. If you are being extorted by anybody, report it to the Winnipeg Police Service. Do not wait until it gets to your business being burned down. We are too far along now in the extortion at that point when that's happening. Report it to the Winnipeg Police Service. We will take that information. We will investigate aggressively, and we will work with you. That is the message that I have for businesses today. We're too late by the time we get to the fire.
Have any businesses that have been targets of fires in the last 6 months said to you that they feel as though they are being extorted?
I can't speak specifically to businesses that have had experience in relation to arsons, but I have had members of the community who do reach out and make a police report in regards to being extorted at the initial upfront of it. By the time we get to the fire, there's a lot that has happened in between, so.
Is there a number in there, and took me a very long time to load the open data, so maybe it's in there, but is there a number in there about how many arsons there were this year so far? I think you're talking about how many fires there were, but how many?
I don't believe we have that number from the police standpoint because our investigation numbers are going to differ from the fire numbers. The fire department responds to all fires in the city. Our arson investigators only respond to investigations that are directly related to criminality. So I'm sorry, I don't have that number. I don't know. That sounds right.
Quick question for the mayor. You two earlier.
Do you have a message for businesses who have been victims of arson, who feel as though it is due to to extortion, who maybe are feeling frustrated with how long it's taking to get some suspects or get some kind of answers? Do you have a message to those businesses for
We're on
kind of
it.
waiting in limbo?
We're on it. That's what I'm going to say to the victims of those businesses. They will have been in communication with our investigators. Their victims, our investigators will have met with them and sat down and spoken with them in the course of the investigation. But I am telling you, we are on it.
Quick question for the mayor, if that's okay. Mr. Mayor, what are you doing? Like, again, going back to the early 2000s, there was that focus of the strike force, and I think most people that know the issue realize that what was going on there is largely what's going on here. But what I've heard and what I've experienced in talking and doing all these ride-alongs is a service that is starved for more resources all around. What are you doing, sir, to make sure that these folks can do their job as far as the resources that you're fighting for with other levels of government and in your budget process that you're going to be announcing great cut?
Yeah, so maybe I'll end on that. Thank you for the question. Is stay tuned to the budget that will be coming forward November the 14th. We'll release our preliminary budget. And I would say in past budgets recently, for the first time in a long time, the city of Winnipeg is funding 36 more police officers, new police resources as well. There's been 24 new firefighters, net new firefighters over the last year or so. And, I want to talk for a moment again about, you heard about the collaboration. I think that's important. One of the messages today is that when people call for, hey, we need a new arson task force, the answer is we actually have that. And right now, they're more integrated. The police and fire, you heard about the collaboration, their coordination, the efficiency, and the work that they're doing together every day. They're fully integrated in their investigative work. And so I think that's important as well. And I cannot stress enough to the public, if you, as Inspector McKinnon said, if you see something, say something. Don't remain silent. You can you can share your information anonymously if there's concern about, you sharing information and somehow it gets back to you there or to someone else that you shared information. You can do so anonymously through Crime Stoppers. We need the public's help and assistance to prevent crime, but we need the public's help and assistance to solve crime as well. And so again, I reiterate to the public, please share information, anything you may see, anything you may know of, pass it on. We need that information.
So I have a question, because it seems like when we look at the list, you're highlighting things that are already being done, not things that you're announcing today that are going to be added in terms of steps to tackle this. So if these are already in place, and this is the fire situation we have with all of this work already in place, are there steps to do more or to boost this work or to do something, because we're still seeing so many fires?
I think Chief Schmidt alluded to it. I alluded to the Bloomberg Harvard Initiative, and Chief Schmidt alluded to it as well. Stay tuned. We're going to make an announcement on some of the action. And as Chief Schmidt said, it's not just about stats and data. It's about, here's the action plan. Here's what we are going to do to try to improve things in the city of Winnipeg to reduce the number of vacant and derelict buildings. But I also think it's important, and I appreciate today the message that was given and the sensitivity around this. It's so important that our police and fire be allowed to do their job as well in a way that we can successfully see them investigate arsons that may be criminal in nature and get to the place of prosecuting those individuals that would be arrested. And so I want information too. I'm just like everyone else. I want details. I want this, but I don't, I don't get them. I'm much as the mayor of the city, I'm willing to wait for that information to come through the court process if it's criminal in nature, so that we can have a better chance of successfully arresting, prosecuting, and hold accountable those who may be responsible for fires.
And the frontline people want to know, Mayor, whether or not you've got their back financially, that if they need more resources, you're going to be there to get those resources, sir.
And I would say to you, again, stay tuned for the budget that's coming. Our police budget has never been higher. We're making more investment in police resources, but it's not just police. It's also other public safety initiatives as well. I don't want to go too far afield, but we talked about the Safe Winnipeg initiative, which is a broader collaboration between police, fire, downtown community safety partnership, community safety officers. There's a lot that we're doing. I kind of, in my comments, talked about the broader public safety focus that I have personally right now, everything from bail reform to community safety officers to fair enforcement on buses to the work that these teams are doing as well. I take public safety very,
So
very
in a
seriously.
word,
It's
you
a
got their
priority.
back.
I've got their back. I appreciate the work that they're doing, and I'm so appreciative of today's announcement and the four of you sharing today what your teams are doing. We need, but we can't do it alone. Public, we need your help.
Are you gonna hire more firefighters?
You have to wait.
Stay tuned.
We'll have
Final
time for a couple more.
question, Richard. You have to let someone else.
I'll
Final
go.
question.
Mayor, you talk about bringing on more positions through the budget. When we have serious challenges in any municipality, it often means looking at higher levels of government. In terms of advocacy to the province or the feds, what does that look like on the city level right now in terms of fire resources?
Well, I would say that, first of all, we've had a good partnership. The city and the province have a good partnership. Part of the, the 24 firefighters that were recently hired over the last couple of years were funded by the province of Manitoba. I want to acknowledge and thank the province of Manitoba once again for that investment and that partnership. When it comes to the broader, work of fires that may be criminal in nature, I was just in Ottawa last week to call for changes to the bail and sentencing reform. I know that's controversial in some ways. I stand by that decision. We need changes because if there are individuals in our community who repeatedly are breaching the orders of the court and continue to go on and commit crime, and if that crime is arson, then we need to treat those individuals in such a way that we're protecting the public. At the forefront of all of this today, all of this work, all of these announcements, the work that our teams are doing in police and fire is the safety and the confidence of the public. Winnipeg needs to be a safer city. These teams are making the effort, to make sure that our community is safer, and City Council is doing the same.
You guys have all brought up Crime Stoppers and sort of this, if you see something, report it. Are police really looking for another voice or a witness to some of these fires that might be criminal in nature? Is that really why you're
Inspector McKinnon,
pushing
maybe?
for community to sort of speak out if they see something?
Our community arguably is our biggest partner in public safety. I know it sounds ridiculous, but they are, because that's where we get our information. Those are our witnesses, those are our victims, those are our people. I mean, how often are you driving down the street and you can witness something, right? And drive by and think, oh, wow, I just saw something that was crazy. Go home, you tell your wife, your kids, your friends, your hockey buddies, but you never report it to the police. And then maybe down the road, you might see in the news that there's something in relation to that incident. Our best source of information and our best partnerships are with the community and giving us that information. We do video canvases, we'll go knock on doors, we flood the areas, we go looking for it, but we can't capture the people that happen to be traveling through those areas. And that's why we always emphasize Crime Stoppers. I think there's people who are concerned about their safety and how that information will impact them if it's brought forward to the police service. And Crime Stoppers is the perfect partnership to do it because it is anonymous. And if that tip leads to an arrest, there is enhancements for an award. So did that answer your question?
One more question.